Here at Nonpartisan Media, we like to cover the big topics. And today we're going to be covering why the US military buys so much Viagra. Okay, so just a little backstory. The reason why we're covering this, I was getting into a bit of a debate on Twitter with a few people. Yes, I do actually respond to tweets. And one of the biggest things people were saying was, trans should get their surgery because they spend so much on Viagra. Well, I went through and sort of talked about this in one of the tweets, but let's go through, and someone at BBC has actually put up an article, and it's actually really interesting. So let's just jump straight into it. Why does the US military buy so much Viagra? Amid the fallout from the US President Donald Trump's announcement on Twitter that transgender people will not be able to serve in the US military, one statistic has been frequently raised to draw attention to the comparative small estimated cost of transgender healthcare. It refers to the amount of Pentagon spending on erectile dysfunction medication annually, about 84 million or 63 million pounds, according to the Military Times newspaper. In contrast, the RAND corporate think tank estimated last year that gender transition-related healthcare costs for transgender personnel would increase the military's active duty healthcare budget by 84 million per year at the most. I disagree with that figure, but let's keep going. But why does the US Defense Department spend so much on erectile dysfunction drugs? First of all, it's worth pointing out the Military Times February 2015 report based its figures on the 2014 data from the Defense Health Agency. This spending of $84 million for that year by the newspaper also reported that $294 million had been spent on Viagra, Cialis, and other such medications since 2011. It pointed out that this cost is the equivalent of more than a few fighter jets. In 2014, some 1.18 million prescriptions were filled, mostly for Viagra. But who were they for? The answer goes somewhere in explaining the massive spend. It is true that some of the erectile dysfunction medications went to active duty personnel, but the vast majority went to other groups eligible, including millions of military retirees and other family members. And in fact, around 10 million people are in total estimate to be covered by the Pentagon's healthcare system, which cost $52 billion in 2012. It is well known that erectile dysfunction is more common among older men, which would explain the hefty bill for retired service members. In fact, less than 10% of the prescriptions were for active duty personnel, according to the Military Times. In 2014, a study by the Armed Forces Health Service Branch, AFHSB, found that around 100,248 cases of erectile dysfunction were diagnosed among active service members between 2004 and 2013, with annual incident rates more than doubling at that time period. Nearly half of these cases were to psychological causes, according to the study. A study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine in 2015 found that male veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, were significantly more likely than other civilian counterparts to report erectile dysfunction or other sexual problems, according to the US Department of Veteran Affairs. One study cited found that 85% of male combat veterans with PTSD reported erectile dysfunction, nearly 4 times the rate of those returning from combat who are not diagnosed with a mental health disorder. In 2008, a RAND corporate reported that 1 in 5 US veterans from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were suffering from PTSD or major depression. So what is the actual short answer on all of this? Well, guys, the fact is that the major reason for the actual spending of Viagra, 90% of it, or over 90% of it, actually goes to the retired service personnel or people that are actually retired from the service. Only 10% actually goes to the US active military, and out of that 10%, a large chunk of it is actually going to guys who are suffering from PTSD because of the fact that they can't get it up, so to speak, because of that mental condition. It's not like people are going through and saying, hey, I can't get it up. Can I have Viagra? It's because it's actual side effect from them going to war and actually getting PTSD. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, would I love the fact that people not have PTSD and need Viagra? Of course. But at the end of the day, we're talking about why the Pentagon goes through and spends so much money. And if you want a very short answer, it is that 90% goes to retired, 10% goes to active personnel, and out of that 10%, a large majority of them are actually going to guys suffering from PTSD. You guys, basically that's where I want to leave this video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Are you still against the Pentagon buying Viagra? If you were in the first place, has this argument swayed you? Let me know what your thoughts are and we can have a discussion about it in the comments. Apart from that, guys, obviously if this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. And apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next video.